Hey guys, everything new under the sun. Now this is one aspect of my off-grid solar-powered shed and general solar-powered configuration that I've not really shown before, and it is the refilling of the water in flooded lead-acid batteries. Now I've got two batteries here. This battery is an old Nautilus. It's a 110 amp hour battery. I bought this brand new probably 6 years ago. It's still hanging on, still doing well, but one thing you do need to do with a flooded lead acid is to refill the water, because the water does boil off as as you charge it. I've got this other battery which has been in the setup. If you've seen the setup before, it used to be sitting right there along with another battery. The other battery is completely dead. It's showing about 0.8 volts. It's a 12 volt battery, so 0.8 volts is bad. This battery here is, I don't know how old it is, probably a similar age. It's showing about 10 volts right now. I've never attempted to look in the fluid to see if there's enough water. We may be able to revive this one. This one here, make sure it's recording here. This one here shows, and you won't be able to see it, but you'll have to take my word for it, it's showing about 10 volts. So it's really low, which indicates, oh, well, now it's showing 12 volts, so that's actually looking good. That was showing 10 volts before, and it may be because, yeah, there's 11 volts. It's so corroded. You can see the corrosion here. It shows 11 volts. Let me just turn the light on just for a bit more light on the situation. I don't know if that'll help at all or not. Probably not. What I'll do, though, is I'm going to pop... Let me just demonstrate what we're going to do here and what I did to the other one. If I zoom in to this one, and this is really a very simple how-to. It's quite simple. You should probably be wearing gloves for this. Of course, I never follow any safety instructions. So all you gotta do is pop these off. These caps just come right off. Now I think I broke mine slightly when I took it off the other day. Plus, it's below zero, so these things don't want to pop off. There we go. And you pop this cover off to reveal the holes, and then you can look inside the holes to see the level of the water. Now, if I recall correctly, the level of the water basically just needs to be above the lead plates in there, and if it is, you're generally good. You can see this is kind of wet around here, and that is because it does boil off. While it's charging, it boils off, and the more it charges, the more it boils off. The bottom of the lid is supposed to be able to kind of funnel evaporated water back into the battery, so it doesn't evaporate as much, but you do lose it over time. And so you've got two of these. You've got to fill them in both sides in this case. So this is good. This is showing about 13 volts. I've got it on the solar charge controller. What I'm going to do now is attempt to see if we need to fill the fluid. If I go over here, I'm going to zoom in on this one, and we'll do a little bit of work on this one, and we'll just see if we need to fill the fluid on this one and see where it's at. And I'll see if I can get you a view of the water. So, the water we're putting into it, you don't put any old water into it. You got to put, or you're supposed to put distilled water. Now this is, I believe this is Walmart brand distilled water. Nothing fancy about it other than it's just water that doesn't have a lot of minerals in it, basically. Evaporated. You can make your own distilled water by evaporating a bowl of water and taking the evaporated water, and that's your pure water, basically. So that's what this is. It's not drinking water, it's just distilled water from Walmart. I think it's about $3 for a 4-liter jug. I've used about half of it in the big battery. So we're going to take and see if we can clean this guy off here and go ahead and open it up. So you can see the disgusting corrosion. And for all of these things, you should be wearing gloves. You definitely don't want to get this acid into your eye. But I'm going to try and scrape as much off onto the ground as I can. And then I'll give it a bit of a wire brush here. It's pretty disgusting. this has literally been sitting for years in here, connected to the other one, which probably brought down its voltage. But if I can revive this one, then I can put it back into the battery bank and make use of it. So let's go ahead and give it a little scrub there. Now I probably should be using some baking soda and water to clean those contacts a bit. But we're just going for a kind of a quick and dirty fix here, so we can show the refilling of the water, if that's what the actual problem is, and if that will help it. As always, you got to maintain these. Every year you got to maintain these because they do lose water. Let's see if we can get these off, these caps off. Alright, cap number 1 off. We'll get the other cap off, and then I'll bring the camera over and you guys can see. And I'll save the status of it till I get the camera over here so you guys can see the same issue with me. Alright, so what we're seeing there focus there. So what you see in the bottom, the reflection is the water, and it's going to be hard to tell. But the water is above the fins in this case. Now I see this one is a little bit lower here than the other ones. I might just top it off a tiny bit, but overall you want to see water above the lead plates, and in this case I do. I just see water, I don't see the top of lead plates. And you'll recognize it when you see it. It's kind of a cardboard looking plates usually, or just a straight plate in there, depending on the type of battery. So what you want to do is just top these off with your distilled water, put the lids back on, and that's your maintenance done. So I'll just add a little bit here, and we'll put the caps back on. Now, there's all sorts of better ways to do this, I'm sure. You should be wearing eye protection and gloves, etc. You know, you don't want to put your fingers in your eyes and all that standard safety stuff. If you watch my chainsaw videos where I'm chainsawing in Crocs, you'll know why it won't be a surprise to you anyways. So I'm just going to add a bit here, just to bring it up to the same level as the others. You could use a funnel. Funnel certainly works. I'm just going to top these off. And the water coming off it is going to be acidic as well, so you don't want to get that on your clothes, etc. So there we go. I've got my distilled water. Now, of course, you can't leave your distilled water. It is wintertime here. It's below 0, so you cannot leave a bottle of distilled water out. Otherwise, it will freeze, unless you're okay with it freezing. But if you want to use it again anytime soon, you don't want it to freeze. So we'll go ahead and put our lids back on again. Just slide that on there, and you can just push it down. In this case, I can push these down, or you can give it a tap with a screwdriver or something. Let's get them snugly on there. And then what we'll do is we'll test out our voltage again. If you have a bad battery, and the issue is your water levels, you may find a pretty immediate upgrade in the voltage after doing this. Once the plates are covered, then you might find an immediate increase in the available voltage. So right now, if I get a good reading, this is showing 12.39 volts. If I check down here, it's showing like, okay, it shows 12 there, so a bit of a bad connection on some of these posts. So they need a bit more wire brushing, but this battery actually seems like it's okay. So I am actually going to plug this in and charge it. It was set up and plugged in line in parallel with some bad batteries which drain it. If you have good batteries and bad batteries in line with each other, the bad batteries will pull down the good batteries and ruin your good batteries. In this case, I think this battery could be still good. So it's probably worth putting up beside my Marine Nautilus Deep Cycle battery and get some more solar use out of it, as opposed to turning it in for a core charge. What I'll probably do is, actually I'll do it right now. I'm going to put my load tester on it, because it was load testing badly before. So let's bring down my load tester in this situation. I got this MotoMaster load tester. I did a video kind of review of this. And what it does is it draws 100 amps from the battery to give you an indication as to whether the battery is going to be able to take that load or not. Now, I'm not sure. Let's see. Can't see which is negative and positive. This is positive over here. Yep. And all right. So it's showing 12. It's showing 13 volts on this. But now, if I press this button, it's going to go ahead and attempt to draw 100 amps out of this battery, basically to see if it can sustain a significant draw or not. If it cannot sustain a significant draw for 5 to 10 seconds, that means the battery is end of life or needs replacing. So right now it's in the green. We're going to find out if it's going to be able to draw this much or not. Alright, so that quickly went down, and that may be because of the connectivity here, the dirty contacts. Let me see if I can get a better connection there. We'll do it again, and we'll see if it drops down. Yeah, it's sizzling and it drops down really quick, which means indeed this battery is basically end of life. But let me try a couple more connections to make sure I've got solid connection. Yeah, so it's dropping down to 5 volts. So that means, you know, it does float around 12, but it's dropping way down. So that means my 12-volt battery is bad. It's going into the red bad section, obviously. Now, it's possible it's creeping up in voltage even after holding this on for a while, interestingly. So it may be that I could still do an attempt to restore this a little bit. I put it on my Noco Genius charger, and maybe it will desulfate a little bit or something, because it's been in line with the bad batteries for so long that there could be some life in it. The voltage seems good, so the cells seem okay, but you never know. I'll try one more time. Yeah, so showing very bad. Interestingly, it is increasing for voltage, though, and it could be that even the fluid in the battery that I just put in needs to mix in a bit more. It's actually creeping up as I leave this on, interestingly. 6 volts now. I mean, it only should drop down to, say, 10 volts when you put that load on it. So now the overall voltage is showing 10 volts. And it goes down to 6 volts. So that's definitely a bad battery, end-of-life battery. Something that I probably would not want to put in line with my good battery. And that is because it will start drawing down and pulling and weighing down the good battery and shorten the life of the good battery effectively. So that's interesting. I might try recharging this one more time with the Noco Genius charger, just to see if it's going to sustain any amperage, any amp hours. But in this case, it doesn't appear like it's going to. It just had a kind of a surface charge on it, and now it's showing 10.5 volts. So just a little how-to, because I had never really done that on my solar setup in terms of replacing distilled water. It is maintenance you need to do on your batteries. Once a year, I think, is what they suggest anyways, and you should keep an eye on it. Because the more you use the battery, if you cycle the battery more deeply every day and charge it all the way up again, it's going to evaporate off even faster because you're charging it up and discharging it a number of times. You're cycling the battery. So you may need to check that fluid a little more often, even than once a year. But that's your kind of standard, yearly maintenance of the battery. Top it off with some distilled water. You can put water out of your tap into it, although that has minerals and that may dilute and cause the battery not to perform very well and do other chemical processes in it, which would prematurely wreck your battery. But for these old batteries, you know, I wouldn't care about putting tap water into it. In fact, this battery here, probably 2 years ago, I put tap water into it, and it's fine for what I use it for. It's not in perfect shape, but it certainly works as an off-grid solar tinkering battery. So, just thought I would show that to you. Refilling your batteries with distilled water to top them off as a yearly maintenance thing. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Here's an example where you can actually see the lead plate. So there's no water in there at all. I don't know if you can... There's no water in there at all. And that's going to be a problem. So I'm going to try filling this one up. And maybe we will get some voltage out of this one. I didn't suspect this. I just finished doing the other video, basically. And I didn't suspect that this one would work. This was showing 0.8 volts. But it's pretty grungy. I'm going to put some water into it and see if we can get some voltage out of it. So right now this was showing 0.8 volts, I believe. Let's check this. Yeah, 1.7, 1.4 volts. So, yep, I think in this case this is actually a problem of the water in it, and it's really, really disgusting. But not much I can do about that. It kind of needs to be hosed down. I'm going to get some grunge into the battery compartment. But these are old batteries, so, and they're all Alright, so put the fluid in, put the distilled water in, let's give it a test and see if the voltage came up at all. But 2 volts it's showing, so the voltage came up a bit. That fluid's got a mix a little, and probably it's actually coming up. Now I'm at 2.6 volts. Voltage is increasing, so I might actually give this a charge. 2.7 volts. I'm going to give this a charge and see if this will come up to 12 again. This could actually be a battery that I could use, so both of these might be good. So I'm going to run an extension cord, charge it up, and then we'll come back to this and we'll find out. We'll see, try and finish out the video and find out if I was able to actually get one of these two things going. Alright, this video cut is probably 2 days later. I've checked on this battery after filling up all the water holes, getting the water above the plates. And at first it wasn't taking any amperage charge. It started at 0, then it went up to 2, now it's up to 4. Note that I had to put my dumb charger on it instead of my instead of my Noco Genius. And the reason I had to do that is because the Noco Genius is too smart. If you put it in 6 or 12 volts, it was showing well less than 12. I think it was showing 10 originally. And this would just blink on and off as if there was an error. So it didn't even want to try to start charging this battery. So I put it on the dumb charger. This charger does not care what the voltage is. It's just going to try and pile 12 volts and as much amperage as it can into the battery, which is handy. You know, when things are too smart, well, they don't work so well. Of course, this device assumes you plug it onto a correct battery so you don't blow stuff up or otherwise blow circuits or harm yourself. So I'm going to go, it is accepting a whole bunch of amperage. That doesn't mean it's any good. I'm going to take the clips off. Let's measure the voltage, and then we'll put the load tester on it and see if it has improved at all, because the water was definitely low in there. So this is either going to be a core charge battery, return it for core charge, or maybe I can use it for some of my solar generation in the shed. Alright. Got my little Radio Shack voltmeter. I'm going to take the power off here, take the charge off. It's been going for long enough that if it's not charged by now, it's never going to charge. Now this will show me a voltage of, it's probably going to say 13 or something because there'll be a nice surface charge to it after being charged for so long. No, I lied. It actually only shows, let's see, 11 volts. So, I mean, I don't know if it's slowly coming up. It was 11 volts the other day when I checked. I think I'm going to put this on the load tester, and it's just going to drop right back down. It probably needs electrolytes or something added to it because I had to add so much distilled water. Regardless, we're going to try and plug this in, and let's see what the load tester has to say about it, and I'm sure it's not going to be good news by any stretch. So, if you can see there, it's showing below 11 volts, which is what we see. It's rotated, get a good connection there. So if I put the load on, we're going to see what happens in 3, 2, 1. And that goes right down to bad battery. And you can see it's dropping fairly quick. And it's certainly lighting up things. I'll give it one more check. Now it's showing less than 10 volts. And yeah, it just drops right down. It's improved over what it was a little bit. But ultimately, this battery is not going to improve anywhere near enough. It's past its prime, so it's good for a core charge. So we'll go ahead and send that in. We'll get our $15 for the lead core to it, and put that towards probably a deep cycle marine battery, which is about $150 Canadian, I think, right now. So update on this one. Didn't work. It was a good try. You never know, but this is a very old Well, another update on this one here. I went and measured this one. I thought this was completely toast. I was putting the load test on the one behind it here, this other little MotoMaster Lawn and Garden battery. I did top its water off. It's showing 13 volts, which is really good. Well, 12.5 now. I just did a load test. And it was load testing basically off the scale. It was just dropping right down. But interestingly, I just did a load test now. It almost looks like this battery is sprung back to life. So you can see it's showing, I hope that's in frame, it's showing 13 volts right there. Put the load test on it. It's actually holding some load. Look at that. It's only going down to 10 volts. I mean, for a wrecked old battery, it's weak, but it's not in the bad section. And it's still above 12 volts when it bounces back. So it's pretty impressive. I could actually make use of this one. It does go down fairly quickly. I can watch it as it slowly goes down. It's going down into the bad area, but I mean, this thing is drawing 100 amps off this battery, which is just a little lawn and garden lawn tractor battery. So that's a lot of storage for it to be drawn out of it all at once. I think that's pretty good, actually. So I think I'm going to actually keep that one and see if I can't use it maybe for, well, I could use it for my lawn tractor, or I could put it into the solar setup. So that's kind of neat. It seems to hold pretty well. I'll do it one more time. It's about 12.7 volts right now, and it just goes into the week. So I'm going to put that on the Noco Genius charger and just let that sit for a couple days, and that might just bring it up. I only had it charging on a couple of small 12-volt dash solar panels, which I have on the side of the shed. It was pumping like 24 volts into it, which may have helped to desulfate it a bit, actually. So that's interesting. But yeah, I'm gonna get the charger, the Noco Genius, going on this one, and just see if I can keep that going. So that's good news. Just for interest's sake, this is what the Noco Genius looks like when it's plugged onto the battery. It's got several options for 6-volt normal, 6-volt cold AGM batteries, 12-volt normals, 12-volt cold AGM, and then it has small batteries like say a motorcycle battery or something, which is lower current. The high current in this is 3.5. That's what the G3500 stands for. 3.5 amp charge. That's the max it goes. This charger here will do 2 or 6 amps, so a bit quicker of a charge. But this is supposed to be a smart charger, and I don't know, it's supposed to trickle charge more smartly. I don't know how intelligent it is. But anyways, you can see that battery is charging up. It's showing, blinking at 50. Oh, it just flipped to 75. So I'm interested to see if it will actually start blinking up to 100. Usually with batteries that are kind of toast. Ooh, where's the focus there? Usually with batteries that are kind of toast, it will just it will give up at 75 and it will stop blinking. And the battery never actually gets to 100 because the voltage in the battery is never going to go up. So that's what a Noco Genius charger looks like, and it does require at least 12 volts in the battery to actually recognize it as a chargeable battery. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm not gonna add that to the video. I'll probably end it there.